Nothing reminds me of my childhood like rhubarb, and it makes me think of having dinner at my grandmother's house on a Sunday afternoon, and she would make a rhubarb cobbler that actually most of us wouldn't eat. I hated rhubarb as a child, but I absolutely love it now. And rhubarb is one of those old-fashioned plants that's sort of making a resurgence. You find it in all the farmers markets, you find it in garden centers, and people want to grow it all the time. But there are some tips and tricks that you need to know to have good rhubarb success. Some people, it's just automatic, and some people, they really struggle with growing rhubarb. So we're going to talk about a few things that can help when growing your rhubarb. So first, you'll notice we have all these rhubarb plants around us, and if you have this rhubarb planted, there's a little something wrong with this rhubarb that can actually really help your harvest, and that is you see it in bloom. So a lot of times the rhubarb wants to bloom, and that actually takes energy away from the plant that you're trying to grow, and so it actually makes it a little more spindly and it reduces your harvest. So what you want to do is take a nice sharp knife, go in at the base of this stalk and just cut it out and remove it, and that will really help your rhubarb health. And that's the number one tip. A lot of people don't realize that you have to do that. The number two tip whenever you're growing your rhubarb is to actually plant it at the correct depth. And a lot of people, I think, miss that point. So you buy your little rhubarb plant, or you get your little rhubarb plant from your neighbor who gave you a start, and you have this tiny little plant, and you go to plant it, and what a lot of people do is they plant it way too deep. And what you want to do is actually make sure that you plant it right here where the joint is, where the roots attach to the rest of the plant. And you want to make sure that that is not below ground level. And you even want to take into consideration if you're mulching. So what you want to make sure is if you're mulching, to sort of mound up the soil a little bit so that the mulch isn't even up around that, because that can be one of the things that causes rhubarb to fail to thrive. So you want to think about that. Now sometimes if you buy it at the store in early spring, they have it in those little bags with the other bulbs and the potatoes and the onions, and you basically just get a root, the crown, and so you have to be really careful with that, because that's just basically this little part right here, and so you have to make sure that this part stays above ground and the roots are below ground, even when you have that little crown that you don't even really know if it's going to grow into a plant sometimes. So after you've taken care of that and after you've planted it, you really want to manage the fertility. So rhubarb likes a lot of organic matter, so you can work organic matter into the soil. When you plant, you can also top dress with organic matter. That can help with the soil structure, and that can help with nutrients. You want to put in a good balanced fertilizer. Apparently, according to your soil test, is what we always tell you, is to check the fertility. You want just good balance. And rhubarb is actually a vegetable, so it's something that we grow in the vegetable garden, but you don't have to grow it right in the raised bed or the vegetable garden. You can put it anywhere in the landscape, along with some of those other perennial vegetables like asparagus. So find a good place for it to live, and it will actually live many years happy and healthy in your garden.